Hi, everyone. This is Brandon, Virgo, and
Brandon Bowie. We typically stream live on our official Battle of the Bands account, but since Brandon has like way more followers than that account does, we're gonna go live on his account so that way it makes more sense. That way,
yeah, follow us on Battle of the Bands podcast, please.
So,
All right.
So this week we're gonna be talking about
Paramore versus Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Brandon, how are we gonna start this, man?
Well, first off, we got to talk about our news of the week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What is our news for the week?
So for those that don't know yet, it's 2021. Concerts are starting to open up again.
Right.
Yeah, and we are super excited on that news because the two of us are going on the Hella Mega Tour.
Yeah, we were supposed to go see them last year, and then we ended up getting our tickets canceled. Well, I guess they weren't canceled; they were just more postponed or delayed. So hopefully, I mean, they haven't announced it yet, but I'm hoping that they're allowed to have a concert at the Dodger Stadium in July.
Green Day, Fall Out Boy, Weezer, The Interrupters. I mean, who are you most excited to see?
I'm probably most excited to see Green Day, just because I've always wanted to see Green Day. Mm-hmm. And then second after that is probably The Interrupters, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because Weezer and Fall Out Boy, yeah, they're great bands. Mm-hmm. The Interrupters, amazing ska band. So I'm super psyched to see them. What about you, man? You've already seen Green Day, so
yeah, I've seen Green Day live. Freaking best concert of my life. But honestly, like since I already seen Green Day, I'm not as excited to see them compared to other bands. So I think number one for me is probably gonna be Weezer. I mean, I feel like Rivers Cuomo as a frontman is just so charming and likable and so charismatic, and I think that Weezer would be my number one. Then Green Day. You know, Green Day is my favorite band of all time, of course.
Your brother's asking if we're buying tickets for everybody.
You can Venmo me money for tickets. But yeah, if I say Weezer, then Green Day, then Fall Out Boy, then The Interrupters, boom. But yeah,
what was your favorite thing, or what is your favorite thing that you're looking forward to coming out of this pandemic? Music or I guess non-music related?
Oh, it's gonna be music related. I was also supposed to go see the 1975 this year.
No way.
And then I was thinking about buying tickets to The Strokes. And then The Killers announced a new tour. So I was it could have been a good year. It could have been a good year for
It was supposed
shows.
to be a good year for me too. We were supposed to see a bunch of concerts. Believe it or not, our best tickets were actually at a Billie Eilish concert. We were like,
oh no way.
it wasn't my decision, but I was still, once we got closer to the date, I was getting a little more excited about it, just because we were like we would have been literally like front center on the rail. So that would have been nuts. I'm not the biggest Billie Eilish fan, but that would have been nuts to see. She has a huge talent. So
another thing about 2020, freaking Rage Against the Machine was making a comeback. They were headlining.
That's right.
They were headlining Coachella.
That's right.
Like seeing a band like Rage Against the Machine headline an event like Coachella, that is so crazy and insane and like dope. Like all the ways.
I feel like we kind of mentioned this in the last podcast as well. Either the last one or the one before that, but about how the pandemic kind of brought out things in artists that I think we would have not seen if the pandemic had not happened. Because they're kind of stuck doing their own thing, so they just kind of do whatever they want. So we see experimentation that we wouldn't have normally seen from stuff like look at like 21 Pilots. You know, like they released arguably like their most experimental, like poppy kind of sound stuff. So who knows what we would have seen.
What was the last concert you saw before the pandemic and everything closed down?
The last concert, oh my God. It was probably like at the House of Blues for like a bunch of smaller bands. And that was like a year before the pandemic hit. So what about you?
Oh, I saw 21 Pilots with my dad.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, it was November 2019. I think it was November 2nd. Yeah.
How was that?
I loved it. Yeah.
Your dad liked it?
Yeah, honestly, like my dad really liked it. I think that was his like technically his first official concert. So it was a really cool moment. It was really cool that he got to see 21 Pilots live for the first time, and that being his first concert, because 21 Pilots have like such incredible stage production. We already talked about this in our 21 Pilots versus Panic at the Disco debate, but man, 21 Pilots know how to put up a good live show.
It's true. I haven't seen them live personally, but I've seen tons of videos, and their whole everything from their stage presence to their technical stuff like on stage. Your younger brother was saying that Weezer's got a concert going on.
Yeah, that's a live stream.
For $20.
Yeah, I know. It's the.
I don't know how I feel about those. Like, I mean, I get it. Like,
it's the closest thing you get to and like another concert, and at the same time, I understand. And honestly, $20 is not that bad. I feel like that's a very fair price.
I've spent a lot more on dumber things.
Yeah.
So
and like. Honestly, like especially given that concerts have been closed for more than a year, you know, it's really refreshing to see like these bands. You get to see them perform live again, even though it's not technically in person. I think a virtual experience is the best way to do it.
Yeah, and I can't wait to start seeing bands again, man.
Yeah.
So speaking of the bands that we're going to be seeing again, one of them,
is
like
Fall
we
Out
mentioned,
Boy.
Fall Out Boy, topic of the podcast versus Paramore.
As you can tell, I'm rooting for Paramore by my shirt.
I'm rooting for Fall Out Boy. I don't have any Fall Out Boy merch. But I'm going to give it a good fight. I feel like this is going to be really weighted because everyone loves the shit out of Hayley Williams because she's like a goddess. So,
yeah, Fall Out Boy also has its own.
Patrick Stump, also a legend in his own right.
That's the whole thing with these pop punk emo bands. They all have their own like significant cult following. You know?
Exactly. So before we get into the battle, I do want to mention for those who are listening on Spotify that we do live stream all of our podcasts. This time around, we are live streaming on Brandon's account, even though it is at the time of filming 9:50. So just because he has more following, and yeah, so.
Hopefully, doing live streams to my account will hopefully get better engagement for the Better Battle of the Bands podcast account.
And that being said, follow us on the Battle of the Bands podcast on Instagram and Twitter. So, all right, man. With that being said, let's kick it off.
Ready to get this debate going?
Let's kick it off, man.
All right.
How do we normally structure these things again?
So first we do album discography. We go through the albums. Then we go through their members, like their stage presence,
controversy.
Then we go through controversies. Then we just go through overall influential and impact on society or the music scene. And then lastly, just like we think overall is better.
All right. Should I go first?
Well, first of all, I think we should say what each of us feel about the other band. Mm-hmm. So I'm rooting for Paramore.
Okay.
They're one of my personal favorite bands, top 3. And Fall Out Boy, I do really like Fall Out Boy. I love Fall Out Boy. I grew up with Fall Out Boy. They definitely have a nostalgic impact on my taste in music. They're definitely influential on the music that I'm into. However, given that, I do feel that Fall Out Boy has fallen off the map a little bit. I mean, I'm definitely not in love with them as much as I used to be, compared to my younger scene phase. But I definitely have my respect for Fall Out Boy has definitely not changed. I still love them. I know they're one of my top 15 favorite bands. So this is definitely going to be kind of hard arguing Paramore against Fall Out Boy. As much as I love Fall Out Boy, I love Paramore better. Yeah.
Well, I'm fighting for Fall Out Boy. So, Fall Out Boy is also one of my favorite bands, and for good reason. To put it in words, their influence on the scene community has been really it's been pretty big. They started really small. They were playing small venues like the Chain Reaction over here, not too far from us, which is a really small but legendary venue, all the way up to playing giant stadiums and selling them out. So Fall Out Boy is one of my favorites. I've listened to almost all of their albums. So we'll get into that in a second.
And then your thoughts on Paramore in general?
Paramore is on a completely other level. You know, Hayley Williams is a talent above talent. Her vocals are nuts. It's insane. They've had their fair share of controversies, and they haven't released as much music as Fall Out Boy has, but they're one of my favorites. And they're legends in their own right as well.
And I feel like this podcast episode is going to make us feel torn.
It is. It's already torn. Going into this, I was like, damn it, how do I fight against Paramore, you know? So I guess, do you want to start with Paramore's discography, or should we go and start with Fall Out Boy's discography?
Let's start off with Fall Out Boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going album by album, we can kind of fight album by album with Paramore versus Fall Out Boy, with the exception of maybe the first album, because Paramore's first album didn't come out till 2005, whereas Fall Out Boy's first album was in 2003.
No, I think we can still compare them, you know?
Yeah, so 2003, Fall Out Boy's breakout album, Take This to the Grave. You know, everyone knows this album. You know, it's probably not the most it's not the most popular album, but everyone knows this album. And if you don't, you've definitely heard the songs on the album.
I think that's like just maybe my favorite Fall Out Boy album.
And I think it's their best album, in my opinion. It's definitely the most them. It kind of showcases their best ability because they're breaking into the scene. Yeah. And it kind of showcases their ability in the fact of like experimentation, but also like just their straight up music ability, you know? I think the best song off of that album is Saturday.
Oh yeah, Saturday, easy. That's my second favorite Fall Out Boy song.
Yeah,
adding on to that, I feel like Take This to Your Grave is like the staple early 2000s pop punk mall scene emo album. Like
for sure.
I feel like that really is like the album. Like that's why I have so much respect for Fall Out Boy, because I feel like they are they were the ignition to that whole era of emo scene kids.
I would say that it rivals A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, which I'm about to mention next, because A Fever You Can't Sweat Out came out in 2005, along with albums like Move Along by the All American Rejects and All We Know Is Falling by Paramore, which we're about to speak about later on. 2005, Fall Out Boy came out with From Under the Cork Tree, which is iconic in its own right. Which is, I think Take This to the Grave made Fall Out Boy, but From Under the Cork Tree brought Fall Out Boy to the next level with, like, as far as like commercialness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Sugar We're Going Down.
My favorite.
It is the Fall Out Boy song.
Yeah.
They're not going to outlive it.
I think Dance Dance is like, I think that song is considered bigger though than.
Really?
I think just like in the general public of the music, Dance Dance is bigger, but I think in like the whole pop punk scene, Sugar We're Going Down is like the favorite. But I think just in the general public, Dance Dance is more well known.
I don't know, man. I feel like Sugar We're Going Down is definitely the staple Fall Out Boy song, in my opinion.
No, because I think...
Is it higher on Spotify?
So Dance Dance has 132 million views on YouTube.
Okay.
And I think Sugar We're Going Down has less than that.
Really?
Yeah, Sugar We're Going Down has 107.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean...
Because whenever you think of Fall Out Boy, I think of Sugar We're Going Down.
Oh, I think the thing too is that Dance Dance has a more iconic music video. The whole high school dance.
Yeah.
thing. That was pretty... I remember that vividly, the video.
That's true. That's true. Moving on from there to 2007.
Infinity on High, right?
Infinity on High.
It's a good follow up.
It's a good
solid
follow up. You can kind of start hearing the pop influence in their albums and their music. It's definitely more prevalent. They're taking more risks here. This is the album, if you don't know, with This Ain't a Scene, It's an Arms Race.
And Thanks for the Memories.
And Thanks for the Memories.
With the music video featuring Kim Kardashian. Ooh, man. So, wow, things have changed.
According to your little brother, Sugar We're Going Down has more streams.
Oh.
As far as music streaming.
Okay.
So I guess you could argue that Sugar We're Going Down is more popular as a song, but
with the
Dance
video,
Dance has a better, more iconic music video.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
I think that's fair. Infinity on High, it's a good follow-up album. I don't think it's as strong as the last two albums. Not even close.
But it is a good follow-up, though. It is. I do think, like, while it's not as good as a follow-up, it's like very, like, you know, it holds its standing.
Following that, man, Fall Out Boy is just pumping out albums. We're only in 2008, and they've already pumped out 4 albums. I don't even know how they say this album. It's
Folie à Deux.
Folie à Deux.
Yeah.
This is kind of like, I would say it's less poppy than the last album, but I don't think it's as strong as an album as the last album as well.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this earlier. It's funny because I think Folie à Deux is a pretty underrated album from Fall Out Boy.
But at the same time,
it's not that good.
It's not that good. It's like, okay. It has, I think my favorite song off that album is What a Catch, Donnie. It's the ballad. It's got like a bunch of different cameos in it. It's got like Brendan Urie in it and stuff like that.
Like for the Fall Out Boy discography, it's very mid-tier.
It is very mid-tier. I think I gave it like a 6.5 or something like that out of 10, which I think is very fair. Moving on from there, you have
Save Rock and Roll.
Yes, Save Rock and Roll. So they actually took a break, not like a break, but you know, like there was actually a small gap in between the albums for once, because you're talking like a year, 2 years in between each album. So I'm just pulling it up here. Save Rock and Roll was in 2013. Folie à Deux came out in 2008. 8, 9, 10, 11,
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Save Rock and Roll was kind of the first time back in a while, and it's kind of your introduction into what we're going to be expecting from Fall Out Boy from this point on. Old Fall Out Boy is dead with this album.
You know, when I think of Save Rock and Roll, I do like the album. However, I feel like when you come up with an album title as like epic as Save Rock and Roll, you think, oh, this is gonna be something really ambitious. And I feel like while it's not necessarily bad, I feel like it was a letdown to the title.
In relation to the title?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get that.
Because it wasn't that very, like, there's obviously rock music, but there's also like some like not like kind of like pop sounds.
Yeah.
And then they did a remix with 2 Chainz on My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark.
See, now, like I said, that alone,
yeah,
like I said, it just shows what we're going to be expecting from Fall Out Boy from this point on. This album really does have good songs, though. Like The Phoenix is a great song. My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark, that was
staple song.
Yeah, commercial success. Alone Together, that's a great song. Young Volcanoes.
Yeah, Young Volcanoes is a bop.
Save Rock and Roll,
the epic with Elton John.
Ooh, who gets to say that they've done a song with Elton John?
That song is a really good anthem. But yeah, then we go off to, was it?
I think, okay, so before we move on, I think they did a song with Courtney Love.
Oh, that's weird.
I didn't know that. Anyways, I think in relation to the other albums before this, I think Save Rock and Roll does rate higher than Folie à Deux.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I would say it's a little bit above. I would say it's at par with Infinity on High. I don't think no albums are gonna go above a 7 after this point for me, because the first 2 albums was 8.5 and then an 8. This one's probably at like a 7 or I would say like a high 6, so like a 6.8 or something like that. You know? Moving on, 2015, couple years later, back on that train of releasing albums again. American Beauty, American Psycho.
I did not care for that album at all.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the reasoning?
I just wasn't like interested in it. When I heard like tracks like Uma Thurman and Centuries got overplayed so much.
That's fair. I do agree. Centuries did get overplayed. Doesn't make it a bad song.
It just really, I think that's technically probably might be their biggest song. Like that became their biggest song.
Really? I mean, it was played everywhere. It was in commercials. It was on the radio.
It's kind of like the High Hopes version.
That's a fair comparison.
It's like Panic at the Disco's High Hopes.
But there's really good songs on that. Like you didn't like Uma Thurman?
I don't know. I wasn't feeling the surf rock sound.
What about Immortals?
I mean, it's like
Big Hero 6.
That's the thing too. That it was a Big Hero 6 song. It's not bad, but it's like I heard it everywhere because we work in Disney.
Yeah. How about 4th of July?
Oh, I don't even remember that song. I like I think my favorite track was The Kids Aren't Alright or Kids Are Alright.
The Kids Aren't Alright.
I think that's my favorite track off the album. But other than that, I didn't really care for it, really.
So what would you give it out of 10?
Okay, so Take This to Your Grave. Okay, I think if I'm just focusing on Fall Out Boy's discography, like their 10 out of 10 would be Take This to Your Grave and From Under a Cork Tree. Then Infinity on High would probably get like an 8.5. Then Fully I Do would probably get a 6. Then Save Rock and Roll, a 7. Then I'd probably rate this American Beauty, American Psycho, a 5. Yeah, I just really wasn't interested listening to it.
I'd probably give this one a 6. I'd probably say this is it's still an okay album. I don't think it's as good as Save Rock and Roll, but it's still a good album.
Banana, answer my question. What question was it?
I don't.
Let me see.
I don't. Oh, I think she means the submitted question.
There's more Virgos. Yeah, I have 2 brothers.
We're gonna get to the Q&A towards the end of the podcast.
Yeah, it's
so, yeah. Let me see here, and then 2018, we have Mania.
the iconic,
the
beloved,
the fan favorite Mania.
Okay, so here's my take on Mania.
Okay, what's your take?
It's their worst album,
I agreed.
but I appreciated the direction that they went for. I respected it more, making it objectively their worst album. However, I subjectively appreciated it more than an album like American Beauty, American Psycho, and Fully I Do.
Really?
I know it's a hot take.
You appreciate this album more than Folie à Deux.
Just the idea. I respect that they were trying to do something different. Like even though it was bad,
this album was bad, dude.
I know it's bad. It's their worst album. However, I respected the idea and the ambitions that they went for.
But Folie à Deux has like $20 Nosebleed and I Don't Care on it.
And I don't care for that album as much. But yeah, that. I know it's a hot take, and I do agree it's their worst album. I just think that like I was more, in a sense, entertained. If that makes sense. I was more entertained by Mania.
It's Mania. I don't know. I can't listen. It just doesn't sound as good. The mixing on it isn't as good. Like I understand the direction they were trying to go with this album, but
do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I understand what you're trying to say. It was ambitious.
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to but like I said before, starting from the very first album, Fall Out Boy has always been ambitious.
Yeah.
You know, they've always done things to their sound that the other bands weren't really doing.
But I feel like this change was really different, like because they really tried to go for like a more electro
really
pop.
Have you heard?
Yeah.
Have you heard
Young and Menace?
Young and Menace.
Ooh.
We're talking about the album where the hook and the pre-chorus and Stay Frosty Royal Milk Tea is, do you smell this shit? Do you smell this shit?
Oh, that's a bad song. But
and then some French words.
But there are redeeming moments, though. I do like Wilson, Expensive Mistakes. I think that's a really solid track. Last of the Real Ones is also really solid. And the Hold Me Tight or Don't. I think that's another solid track.
I don't know. But I will say, following that album, there has been a couple singles that they've done with like collaboratively with other artists. They did a song. Well, I don't know if it's them, but I know Patrick Stump did a song. I think it was under the name Fall Out Boy, so I guess you could say them in quotes. But he did a song with Lil Peep, but
Rip.
it was like a posthumous kind of thing with what's that guy's name? Like I Love McKinnon or something like that. It's a really good song, but it doesn't sound anything like Fall Out Boy, which is not a bad thing. It's called I've Been Waiting. Really good song. I don't know if you're into that kind of thing. But it's I think they've kind of slowed their roll and they're kind of just picking up projects here and there that they just want to do now.
I mean, they already established themselves as like a very prominent band from the 2000s. So,
How do you feel about their Ghostbusters remix?
let's move on. Let's move on.
Well, that's the end of the Fall Out Boy discography because the last thing they released was in 2019 and it was the Greatest Hits Volume 2. So that doesn't count. So we'll move on to Paramore.
Paramore,
like I said, started in 2005 with their album All We Know Is Falling.
Okay, so All We Know Is Falling. It's fine. It's
okay.
It's 2000s pop punk.
It's really okay.
There's nothing special about it.
It's a 2005 emo album.
Yeah, there are some good tracks like Whoa and Pressure, but other than that, there's nothing.
I would
really
give this
much.
like a 6.
Yeah, and that's generous. I feel like
I'd give it a 6. Moving on.
the iconic Riot.
Infamous Riot. I can already see this popping up on my iPod, my iPod Nano, iPod Mini, iPod whatever, iPod Shuffle screen. iPod Shuffle didn't have a screen, that was the whole point, but the iPod whatever screen.
Oof, Riot.
Yeah, this album is amazing. It's probably why probably why Paramore is who they are today.
Yeah, even though Paramore doesn't make that sound, this is what made Paramore Paramore.
Exactly.
You know, this is what got them. This is what made them break into the big scene.
Hey, what era of Hayley Williams was like, where they did like live tour with like schoolgirl Hayley Williams? Was that this album? Was that later?
It's
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's either the Riot era or the Brand New Eyes era.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like a late 2000s thing, but
Riot. You know, you got Crush, iconic.
that's what you get.
That's what you get.
And the
Misery Business.
the now infamous Misery Business.
What do you mean now infamous?
Because people think it's problematic now. Because there's a line she says a line, once a whore, you nothing more. So like, it's not like she's not saying that as her opinion, right? It wasn't like a commentary on I think back then that's how she felt because
what's the song about? The song is about, what's the line? I'm pulling it up.
once a whore, you're nothing more. I'm sorry, that'll never change. You know, that's the line.
I just want to know what the context is.
But yeah,
of it within the song, you know, because it is a weird word to write in. You know, you got to really have an intention when you write a word like whore into a song.
Yeah. And like the band now, like they announced that they're not performing that song anymore live.
What?
Thank God I was able to see them perform it live.
That's crazy. That's crazy talk. Why?
I mean, personally, I don't agree with the decision. However, I respect that they're trying to do something, you know, try out of respect. Because at the same time, I feel like the lyric could be seen as like, you know, anti like sex and stuff, you know. So I get it. I honestly get it.
So the song is, I think it's about like she's in love with a guy, but another girl comes in and takes him, essentially. So I guess she is kind of just calling that girl a whore because she's bitter. So I guess it does make sense,
Yeah.
but
So
it's a banger.
it is. Yeah. It just and obviously like knowing Haley Williams, like that's clearly not something that she represents or believes in anymore.
Yeah, I mean her sound and her presence has changed.
All right, moving on
drastically
to Brand New Eyes. Brand New Eyes is probably my second favorite Paramore album.
Brand New Eyes is a great album.
Yeah, I
Ignorance, come on. That's
Brick by Boring Brick.
Yeah, Brick by Boring Brick. That's a great song.
Ooh. And then, the freaking epic All I Wanted. Ooh.
Yeah.
Haley's vocals on All I Wanted freaking are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of sticking to that same formula and sound from Riot, but it kind of just evolved a little bit.
I think they didn't necessarily go pop punk. They kind of went more for like an alternative rock, hard rock.
This is kind of like inching more towards
just like
what they're going to be, or we're going to be expecting from them in the future. Not necessarily the leap, because we'll talk about that in a second. But like you kind of see them shifting towards a different kind of sound. But it's still kind of that same formula and sound from the.
I mean, Riot. But if you look at it, besides the first two albums, all the other albums that they produced, they created their different sound. It's just the first two albums because that was with the time and the trend.
Right.
But then as it got by, they started doing something more inventive.
Speaking of which, self-titled album. Oh, no, let's rate Brand New Eyes. Brand New Eyes.
That's a 10 out of 10
Do we give Riot a rating? Riot's a 10.
I don't give Riot a 10. I do think Riot's, as much as I love Riot, I think it's one of their weaker albums.
Really? I think Riot charts higher for me than Brand New Eyes does.
I think so. I give All We Know Is Falling a 6. I probably give Riot an 8, and then I give. But I love Paramore's albums. Like it's hard. It's like picking my own favorite children.
Really,
Riot's an 8.
I'm gonna quote this when 8. You have children. Riot is probably gonna be like a 9 or an 8.
Brand New Eyes,
8.5. You're
talking about Brand New Eyes, right?
No. Riot is 8.5 for me. And
then Brand New Eyes is what?
Brand New Eyes is a very solid album, probably an 8.
Okay. Yeah, I'd probably give Brand New Eyes a 10 out of 10. I think I think out of all the albums, I think Brand New Eyes is the best showcase of Haley's vocals. I think that's where she really shines as a vocalist and really proves her vocal range. And then now we get to the self-titled era.
Right.
By the way, I feel like I'm rocking my own inner Haley Williams with my dyed hair.
That's right.
The self-titled era, I think that's a really, really nice change. I know it got more pop. However, that pop rock sound is really, really good.
It kind of became who they are, essentially. Yeah. It's because there's like old Paramore and then there's like current Paramore. The two bands kind of have something similar about that. Because there's old Fall Out Boy and then there's like new Fall Out Boy. And for Fall Out Boy, the turning point was Save Rock and Roll. For Paramore, their turning point was self-titled.
Yeah. And self-titled, I really like this album.
For those who don't know, it's the album. It's got Ain't It Fun? Yeah. It's got Last Hope.
This is where
it's like poppy.
This is the era where they got their first Grammy, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah. Paramore finally won a Grammy. But yeah, I do really like this album. I think one of my personal favorite Paramore songs is on that track. It's Last Hope.
Last Hope is a great song.
Yeah, Last Hope was a really nice song.
And she does it real great live too.
Yes, the live version of Last Hope is so cool because she's so engaging with the crowd. And the crowd just like screams back. Oh, yeah. Self-titled is a really, really nice era.
I'd probably give it a solid.
That's like a 9 for me.
I give it like a 7.
I get a
I don't think
9.
it charts as high as the other ones does. But it's a good album.
And now,
getting on to the current generation.
After Laughter.
This
is my favorite Paramore album.
It's great. It's pastel. It's like it's
this is Paramore's most pop album, but however at the same time it's their most mature. I feel like lyrically it's the really well written.
Lyrically it's amazing.
Yeah.
Lyrically it's a great album.
I freaking love After Laughter.
What's your favorite song off of After Laughter?
Oh, the lead single Hard Times. The Hard Times is such a banger.
I remember when it first came out, I think I downloaded that illegally. And I played it on repeat for like
And
a
again,
week.
the whole album in general is like just perfect for me. Like, like
Fake Happy's a really good song too.
Fake Happy, Rose Colored Boy, Idol Worship, Caught in the Middle, Told You So, Pool, Grudges. I love.
With that
all
being
these
said,
tracks.
what do you rate
Oh,
After Laughter?
11 out of 10 if I can
11
go.
out of
Yeah, I
10.
gave Brand New Eyes a 10 out of 10. I gotta give After Laughter an 11.
I would say After Laughter is up there, right on par with my favorite album, which is Riot. So I would give it an 8.5. It's like, it's so different from Riot, which is their like breakout defining album, but it's so fresh and different. You know,
Like
it's
if you're gonna evolve as a rock band, if you're gonna evolve and start transitioning into more pop sounds, look at Paramore. That's how you do it.
that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I know I'm supposed to be defending Fall Out Boy, but Mania, come on, man.
Like Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco's transition into pop sounds was kind of a hit or miss, if not a fail. While Paramore, they succeeded.
Death of a Bachelor was a great album.
Okay,
Death of a Bachelor was a good album, great album, but
I'm just thinking more of like Pray for the Wicked.
Pray for the Wicked,
as because that's their most pop
not so
sound.
much. Pray for the Wicked was not as good of an album.
Are you
Death
gonna
of the
admit it's a
Bachelor
fail,
Pray for the Wicked, I wouldn't say it's a fail.
a flop?
I wouldn't say it's a flop because commercially it's a
Quality.
a success. Quality wise, I would probably rate it as one of their lowest albums, if not the lowest album.
Okay, all right. Glad we're on the same page on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways,
But yeah, Paramore, you guys are freaking killing it.
Haley Williams is killing it.
Oh, and then, I mean, I know we're talking about Paramore, but you gotta also recognize that Haley Williams released 2 solo albums in the past.
Oh, that's
2
right.
years.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, Petals for Armor was a really, really interesting solo album. It's not my favorite, but I think it was really cool. It was kind of like psychedelic, experimental, indie rock. Yeah, it was a really, for her first solo project, I was really well invested into it, and I really appreciated it. Then there was her second solo album, Flowers for Vases. It's probably my least favorite thing that Paramore or Haley Williams has done, if I'm being honest.
I didn't realize this, but Patrick Stump actually tried to release a couple solo EPs as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I didn't realize that. He also did a motion picture soundtrack. But to put in perspective, Patrick Stump has, on his personal account, 158,000 monthly listeners, while Haley Williams has 896,788 monthly listeners.
Well, I mean, you just found out that Patrick Stump. So I guess he didn't really, advertise it a lot.
That's true. So, discography, I feel
like I forgot to do this, but so here's my take on Fall Out Boy's discography. I'm doing the roller coaster thing again.
okay.
So we're at Take This to Your Grave. Super good.
Okay, you gotta
Super high.
you gotta use verbal because we're also on Spotify.
Yeah.
They don't know what
So
this
super
means.
high. And then you go to From Under the Cork Tree. You're just as good.
Okay.
If not, maybe slightly better. I'm still debating whether or not which album I like more. Then we go to Infinity on High. You take a little dip. Then Full I Do. You take a bigger dip.
Okay.
Then you go to Save Rock and Roll. You do a pretty significant rise, but not as high as Infinity.
Uh-huh.
Then you go to American Beauty, American Psycho. Another significant dip. Not as deep as her. Do you think? I don't know. I don't know which album I like better, American Beauty or Fully I Do. I'll say it's worse than Fully I Do. So I go lower. Then you go to Mania. You go even lower. You go even lower than
Yeah,
that.
I kind of agree with that in the sense that like first two albums are like the chain lift going up.
Mm-hmm.
Then you kind of get to the top after From Under the Cork Tree. Infinity on High, it's kind of like that part after the roller coaster when you come from off top of the hill and you kind of dip a little bit, but you're coasting. And then Fully I Do, you kind of dip and then you go back up with Save Rock and Roll to get a little bit of airtime. And then it's just downhill from there. It's just downhill.
And then Paramore. We're just going high.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, so we start off, All We Know Is Falling. It's pretty low. It's very whatever.
Yeah.
Then Riot, you go pretty significantly higher, but not, I wouldn't say too high. Then Brand New Eyes, I go higher. Now I'm at the roof. Then after self-titled, I'm staying at the roof. And then after Laughter, I broke through that roof.
I would say Paramore's discography is a fairly boring roller coaster. But
Wait, what's wrong with going higher?
But yeah, there's no fun in that. But I mean, like, it's a successful music career. Doesn't make a good roller coaster though. I would say first album, you kind of go down and like you're kind of going around to the chain lift, and when you get to Riot, that's when you start going up the chain lift, and then you get to
Brand New Eyes,
and you're still going up the chain lift, and then you get to Self-Titled, and you're at the top of the chain lift, and you kind of go down a little bit, and then you're kind of coasting, and then you kind of go back up again to another chain lift with After Laughter, and that's basically where we're at right now. See, like, that's the thing. Paramore has not released nearly as much content as Fall Out Boy has, but
at the same time, the wait is worth it because their quality,
their albums,
is very consistently strong.
Pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
Lyrically,
they've improved.
Always really good too.
So yeah, like if you're a Paramore stan, like you're like they don't disappoint. You know, I don't think any album has disappointed me really. All right, I guess moving on to the next category.
Okay, who wins discography wise?
I feel like it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it, but
okay. It's Paramore. It's Paramore.
Now going on to the band members and the stage presence. So here's where I will show support for Fall Out Boy. I really admire the fact that Fall Out Boy has had a consistent lineup.
Pete Wentz's spinning. Oh no, not Pete Wentz. No, who's the guitar player? What's his name?
Nick or Joe? Is it Nick or Joe?
I don't know, but you know how he like always spins on stage. Yeah. They've had a very consistent.
It's Joe. Yeah, I was right, Joe.
It's Joe. They've had a very consistent stage presence. I feel like they've also. I don't think they've lost any members. They haven't replaced anybody.
Yeah, they've had a consistent.
Yeah, I mean they've all had their own individual projects. I think Andy went off to do like a metal band or whatever. At some point, he looks like a dude that does that plays in a metal band.
Yeah, Andy looks like a tough dude. Like,
and then he plays Fall Out Boy songs. But Pete Wentz, took a break, showed everybody his dick.
How do you feel about the idea that like Pete Wentz is the frontman, not Patrick, even though Patrick's the vocalist?
So I would say,
but I think the reason why though is because Pete is the one who's in charge of all like the writing of the songs and everything.
He writes all the songs?
I think so. I'm pretty sure he does.
Are you sure?
He's the one in charge of the music process.
I think it's a co-headed team. I think Pete Wentz does play a significant role. I think the role is more. Patrick Stump is the front man, but Pete Wentz is the spokesman, in the sense that like he is the one that always speaks on behalf of the band, and he's the one that kind of like I'm sure behind closed doors it's a collaborative effort for the most part.
On the Hella Mega tour, like, you know, it was like Rivers, Billy Joe, and Pete. Like Patrick wasn't there at all. Like when they were doing photo shoots and stuff.
Yeah, like I said, Pete kind of represents the band. I feel like.
But doesn't that make him the front man though?
On stage though,
I'm pretty sure like Pete Wentz is like the one who probably engages most of the crowd. He probably gets like he hypes the crowd up, like, and Patrick's just singing.
But just singing, that's the whole thing though.
But like as like, you know, I feel like as a front man, like as when your stage presence and like what you do on stage, I feel like the way Pete comes across, he comes across more as like the front man.
I don't know. I feel like off stage, I would completely. Off stage, I completely agree with you. Pete Wentz all the way. On stage, I think it's a little bit of more of a conversation. Because
I would watch performances. When they perform Saturday, Pete is one that goes in the crowd and sings along with the fans, not Patrick. Like Patrick will stay on stage while Pete will go into the crowd Like he'll jump on them.
This is completely random, but
Yeah.
Patrick Stump was on an episode of Live from Daryl's House.
Where are you going with this?
There's nowhere. I'm going nowhere with this. But Hall & Oates, as people have seen in our last episode, or have not, if you haven't, go check it out. Is one of my favorite bands. Hall & Oates is one of my favorite bands, and Daryl Hall has a show called Live from Daryl's House, where he invites artists over and perform at their house, and they'll play each other's songs.
Oh,
Patrick Stump, phenomenal in that they played each other's songs. It was insane.
Oh yeah, I just want to say, like, you know, shout out to Patrick Stump. Like, he is a really underappreciated vocalist. Like, he is a really
100%.
Like, he is not as well recognized as he should be for his vocal range.
Yeah, maybe not so much recently,
but I feel he still holds up. I feel like
it's the mutton chops. He got rid of the mutton chops, so his powers aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's interesting, that idea of like that their bassist is more of a, like, the front man.
It is really interesting.
I'm not like, I mean, it's cool seeing like someone other than the lead singer take the spotlight, but at the same time, I feel like
it's a weird concept.
I don't know if it's just me, like, is it because like Pete Wentz is like the quote unquote handsome one in the group?
Is he the handsome one, or is he the most sociable one?
Or that too, yeah. Yeah.
Would you call Pete Wentz the handsomest one in the bunch?
In the Fall Out Boy? Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
It's definitely not Patrick. No offense.
But yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah. That's my take on Fall Out Boy and their stage presence.
Anyways, yeah. Who has the better stage presence, though? I think Fall Out Boy can engage and interact consistently throughout their whole band, more with the crowd, and have composure while performing. Whereas I've noticed that when Hayley Williams will jump around and engage in all that stuff, her quality of her performances go down a little bit. If you haven't noticed, you know, she kind of gets out of breath. And she kind of jumps around, and after jumping around and running and doing all that stuff, and then she kind of struggles sometimes to hit notes.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Hayley Williams is a better frontwoman than both Pete Wentz and Patrick Stump combined. She is a really, like, she's super talented. She could dance. She could sing.
Right. But what did I just say?
I still think that her vocal ability is still top notch.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
say, if we're talking about just vocal ability, 100% Hayley Williams is way better than Patrick Stump. But Hayley Williams also needs to chill out sometimes on stage.
But I feel like at the same time, though, as like, you know, when it comes to the rock world, it's like, I mean, I'm not using her gender as like an excuse, but like, I don't want to reduce her down to just her gender. But I feel like, given that rock is such a male-dominated scene, she has to put extra effort into making her and the band stand out. You know?
Yeah, but I mean, at some point as well, I feel like you need to also prioritize your vocal ability. I'm not saying that she sounds like complete shit when she performs, but I'm saying comparatively, you know, the band is able to react with the crowd. Fall Out Boy, the band, is able to react with the crowd better and have their level of quality still maintain the same. Whereas Hayley Williams will try a little more than she can and will be out of breath, and she'll just be kind of...
But I still
trying to hit the notes.
I still think, though, that makes up, like, with her being able to like be very interactive and have like all these dances. I feel like that makes up for the fact that she sometimes is out of breath. And with her stage presence, I feel like her overall stage presence is much better than Fall Out Boy's. Just her alone is, like, you know, worth watching. And also, but like at the same time, no discredit to Taylor and Zach. They're phenomenal musicians. Like when I went to a Paramore concert, Zach Farrow, the drummer, he was able to perform. Like he was able to sing and perform like his own song at a Paramore concert,
Right.
which is really cool on their behalf.
I mean, I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to see her. I'm saying or saying that she's bad. Because if you break it down, I would much rather see Hayley Williams than Patrick Stump.
So,
But but we're talking about stage presence and ability on stage.
Yeah.
So that is my defending.
Even though Hayley Williams gets out of breath, sometimes I'll admit. I mean, but you even said though that Patrick Stump isn't as good as he used to be.
Well,
So I feel like doesn't that kind of like balance out?
well, no, because I'm saying it's been consistent with Hayley Williams. Where I mean, Hayley Williams doesn't also perform to the ability that she used to in Riot era, you know. She's still a phenomenal singer. But I'm saying during Riot era as well, she would do it better. She would jump around, do high kicks, all that stuff, and still do it better. You could tell that it's still trying a little too hard, but you can tell it, especially now, more recently. Now, granted, like you said, she's a little bit older. I get it. So is Patrick Stump. He put on a little bit of weight. I saw, and
I mean, it's cool though he was able to lose weight during the Save Rock and Roll era.
That too.
I was like proud of him for that.
yeah, he gained. Oh my God, there was at one point. I saw him. I don't know what performance it was at some festival, and he was wearing like a fedora. He looked terrible. And then he lost all that weight. I was like, wow.
Good for you, dude.
Good for him. Good for him. You just gave yourself like 10 extra years.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. That's my take on it.
Disagree.
Take it as you will.
I still think that overall Paramore has a better stage presence than Fall Out Boy. And then I would much rather go to I feel like I would much rather enjoy a Paramore concert than a Fall Out Boy concert.
There's this band on YouTube. It's hilarious. They're called Minority 905, and they're this cover band led by this Asian guy, and they do the entire.
Oh look, it's your girlfriend.
Oh, hey babe. They do their entire Fall Out Boy discography, and it's 100% on point. They do the spins while playing guitar. They go through the different eras. Like they have Mutton Chop Patrick, and then they have like Fedora Patrick, and then they have like Andy, and then Andy gets progressively more and more tattoos as the video goes along. It's hilarious. And he sounds like Patrick Stump too.
Oh, you said. Oh yeah, I know this band. They do a bunch of Green Day covers.
Yeah, that too. They do that one too.
I think they performed the enther'80 Idiot album at a concert.
He does all of Billy Joe's eye rolls, and he does like. It's pretty funny.
Is it cringy?
A little bit, but it's funny. You know, they're doing it in good spirits. But so yeah, Fall Out Boy has better stage presence than Paramore.
Nope, they do not. They do not.
We're not going to agree on this.
Now moving on to the next.
What was it? Controversy?
Yeah. Okay, so here's what I'm going to defend Fall Out Boy again. Fall Out Boy is not Sell Out Boy. I hate it when people say Sell Out Boy, but they are not sellouts. I generally do not agree with the idea of sellout. Even though there are times where I feel like a band might be a sellout, Maroon 5, for example. But overall, I don't really like the term sellouts. I feel like it's kind of like a disrespectful thing to say about a band who's trying to like survive in the industry and trying to work hard. Mm-hmm. You know?
I mean, I agree with you in that sense. And in another sense as well, do I think they should have chosen different commercial decisions? Yeah, 100%. Should they have remixed Ghostbusters? No. Should they have collaborated with some certain people that they shouldn't have? No. Should they have pumped out an album every other year? Probably not. But they chased the bag, and I can appreciate that. And now Patrick Stump is worth like hundreds of millions.
I mean, are there any other Fall Out Boy controversies other than the fact that people call them sellouts?
I said earlier that Pete Wentz released a dick pic. I guess
is that really controversy though?
It's kind of controversial, I guess.
But like, it could just be like, you know, a stupid thing. Like,
I guess
Like,
it's
we
not
saw
really a controversy.
it's more like an embarrassing thing.
Yeah, because Haley Williams had that happen to her as well.
Yeah.
So, not a dick pic, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I got it.
Well, Haley Paramore, they had the whole like,
They have multiple lineup changes.
yeah, because of the dating thing, right?
No, Josh and Zach first left because Josh and Zach are brothers.
Right.
Yeah. Josh left. Josh and Zach left after Brand New Eyes. And from what I remember, it's because Josh was tired of Haley Williams taking all the spotlight.
So it was a panic. It was exactly like a Panic at the Disco case.
But at the same time, though, it's not necessarily Haley's fault because I've seen concerts where like Haley Williams gets mad at the crew because they don't highlight the other band members. Like she would stop the concert, like, you guys need to stop taking the camera on me. Stop focusing the camera on me. You guys, like, there are other people on stage too. Like, you need to focus on them. So yeah. So I don't think that's necessarily Haley Williams' fault. It's just more like her management and like the whole social media.
That way. Like
yeah,
it wasn't up to them because they started out as a band and then the fans kind of singled her out. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Brendan Urie.
That's the thing though too. It's like, well, I disagree with the Brendan Urie thing. I think that's more Brendan Urie's fault.
That's also true. I think Brendan Urie knew what he wanted.
Was a big part of that.
He knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in Haley Williams' case, it's not necessarily her intention to do that. But yeah, I think that it sucks that the band isn't what it used to be. I mean, but it's glad to see Zach come back. But then Jeremy left.
But we have the Paramore that we have today.
Yeah, my favorite era Paramore.
Great era of Paramore. Yeah. So, I mean, it did suck, but it is what it is because we have what we have now.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
So I guess you could say that Paramore has had more controversy than Fall Out Boy. The only controversy that Fall Out Boy has had was like their commercial decisions, and that's basically it. Unless there's something I'm forgetting about.
I have no idea. I can't think of anything.
I don't think there's much else. They haven't gotten canceled yet. Neither has Haley Williams. But,
yeah. Oh, the whole controversy with the Misery Business line.
Yeah. That we just talked about that. So there you go.
It's stupid.
That answers it all. It's a little dumb. It's a lyric. There's plenty worse lyrics to go after than that one.
I mean, I understand the frustration that people have with it, but at the same time, you got to understand that like that's clearly not a representation of what Paramore is today.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Agreed. So
now we move on to influence and impact on society.
Now, okay, so this one's hard because they both kind of play the same role in the scene.
I'm gonna give that though to Fall Out Boy. I think Fall Out Boy is a much more influential band when it comes to 2000s pop punk emo mall scene music. I think Fall Out Boy takes the cake on that. I think they win.
That's true. I mean, it goes back earlier when we were talking about Take This to the Grave, about how it's the
essential
mall punk anthem. Is anthem album,
Yeah, and then Sugar We're Going Down is the iconic pop punk anthem.
Yeah.
And Misery Business, though, however, is comparable to on that level.
Yeah, Ignorance also as well.
Yeah.
A lot of things off of Riot.
I'll give the edge to Fall Out Boy on that end.
I agree.
Now, here's my defense for Paramore. I think in general, Paramore has been able to reach out to more people, to wider audiences. Because, I mean, for those that don't know, I think this is such a cool and random fact. Paramore has a really big fan base in the black community.
What?
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
I didn't expect that.
I see so many memes of like the emo scene and the black community shaking hands, and the middle is Paramore.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool, though.
Yeah, and then also Haley Williams is a very vocal advocate. Like, she, like, for those that don't follow her on Instagram, she's very vocal, and she, like, advocates for a lot of things. And it's really cool seeing how progressive of a person she has evolved into over time.
And also, speaking of vocal, she's also evolved into this symbol of vocal ability as well. I don't know how that happened. I mean, of course, because she's a great singer, but there's also tons of other great singers. But she's kind of became this notorious figure for great vocal ability.
And agree with me or not, I think Paramore is the most iconic female-fronted band of the 21st century.
What's another female-fronted band
Of the 21st century.
of the 21st century?
That's the thing.
What is another female-fronted band?
I mean, you can say
21st
like
century?
maybe like Florence and the Machine,
Oh yeah, Florence. Florence is great too,
but they didn't.
but not like Hayley Williams.
not Paramore level.
Yeah, yeah, man. Wow.
And that's a cool title.
So I guess there isn't a lot of female representation in the music industry.
Yeah, guys, listen to more female-fronted bands.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of artists now.
Yeah.
It's starting to come to fruition, but yeah, back then.
Wolf Alice. I'm gonna keep saying it.
I'm forgetting some bands. There has to be another band I'm thinking of.
I mean, there's other bands like Churches.
No, but from that scene though, like mall scene, you know. I don't think there is. It was all like A Day to Remember and all those bands. Anyways, so okay, Fall Out Boy takes the cake on that one.
Well, I think Fall Out Boy takes the cake when it comes to 2000s era, but I think overall Paramore wins when you come
for
like
influence.
as they evolve throughout time. Because Fall Out Boy has died. Fall Out Boy has fallen off the map.
No, but we're talking about influence over time, though.
I know, but like at the same time, though, like
How many people have listened to Take This to the Grave and From Under the Cork Tree and been like, wow, this band's great. I want to make a band of my own.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people, but at the same time, I feel like Paramore is still growing their influence. You know, they've been consistently like reaching out to more and more people. While Fall Out Boy, they're definitely not as big as they used to be.
No, that is not the case.
But
We're talking about people that are still in that community, in that industry. How many of them look more fondly on those first two albums than Riot?
I mean, I'd probably say like definitely a significant amount of more significant amount of people. But at the same time, though, I think what like Hayley Williams was able to do as a female, as a front woman, she inspires a lot of like, you know, women to listen to more rock.
No, of course that's a given. With she's gonna, because she's this.
I'm trying to win here.
Female figure, you know, she's gonna influence a lot more female. She's gonna connect more with the female community. But
Pussycat Dolls, Danny Kaye, New Directions.
I was thinking like mall.
Haley
like I was thinking about like mall emo scene. Of course, there's those bands. There's even like, well, Spice Girls. Spice Girls was 90s. Yeah, not 2000s. Yeah, those are good bands. If you would call them bands.
But
groups. I don't know. Anyways.
But yeah, I think Fall Out Boy, they're more influential for their 2000s work. But I think as time progresses, Paramore will edge them out.
Don't know, man. I feel like those.
I think
I feel like the significance and their impact on that scene is more important.
I think with the combination of their lyrical writing, their consistency and quality, and their versatility and sound, I think Paramore is able to like, you know, reach a wider audience by being able to capture different things.
Yeah, but if they reach a wider audience, yeah, sure. But talking about the power and the significance of their time in that scene, you know?
Yeah, I think that like, you know, with their evolution can be influential. I'm not, you know, I mean, no discredit to Fall Out Boy, but their evolution has kind of like, you know, been a down. Has not really been an evolution. They haven't really progressed.
Yeah, they're later on. On influence. Yeah, but they already had the initial influence. Is the point? It's like Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory. You know, they've had tons of other great albums, but how many artists were influenced by Hybrid Theory? Tons.
I guess here's the way I look at it. Like,
you're not gonna look at Blink-182 and say they're not influential because of neighborhoods.
I say like I think Fall Out Boy started off with a bigger influence, then died down. while Paramore has been able to maintain their influence and consistently been strong. So it's kind of like, would you rather have someone with 2 home runs and a strikeout, or would you rather have someone with like?
I would say it's like this. I would say it's like this. Paramore has hit consistent runs throughout their whole career, right? Consistent runs, very solid player. Consistently, you can look upon this player for average plays that will get runs. But Fall Out Boy hit 3 game-winning grand slams.
What's the third one? Infinity on High?
Or I don't know, just two. Oh. You know what I mean. The point is they hit 2 game-winning grand slams that will be remembered forever.
Okay, so
you're gonna think often more about those grand slams that broke history
and
won those games.
So so based on that analogy, here's how I look at it. Fall Out Boy, let's say like Fall Out Boy has won like 2, World Series? That's what it is for baseball? That's what it is?
Wait, sorry, what?
So the way I look at it is that Fall Out Boy, what's it called, the championship of baseball? World Series? They won 2 World Series.
Right.
And then as they evolved throughout time, they haven't gotten as good.
Right. They haven't won anything since.
And Paramore, the way I look at it, they won 1 World Series. They won 1 NBA championship. They won 1 Super Bowl.
That's not the same analogy.
It kind of is because they developed into different sounds. It's not the same. It's not the exact same sport.
Okay, well, Fall Out Boy also developed into different sounds.
But did they win at those?
No, but well, I mean, they've. That's the thing. That's all fake. That's all objective because they've had amazing commercial success later on in their career. Centuries was everywhere. You said it yourself.
Yeah, annoyingly everywhere.
Yeah, it's like the heathens of their discography.
Hi from Portugal, yo, Portugal representation.
More team.
Okay, all right. I think we're just gonna keep going back and forth when it comes to influence.
I think honestly, I'm right. You think you're right.
And honestly, at this point, I think you can argue for both. I think both are fair arguments. So that's definitely going to be a toss-up. So here's my take. When it comes now that we move on to the category of overall, I think Paramore takes the album discography. I think Paramore takes the stage performance, presence, and overall showmanship. I think Paramore technically is more controversial, so I'll give that to Fall Out Boy. And it comes to influence, it's a tie.
Okay, so here's my take. Paramore consistently has had better discography. But sorry, what was the second one?
Stage presence and showmanship.
Okay. Paramore has had better discography. It's a given. They took more time on their albums. Fall Out Boy banged out all their albums and not all of them were hits. Stage presence, I think Fall Out Boy has had better stage presence consistently over the years. For the reasons I said, Hayley Williams.
And I disagree.
it's just her, and there's nothing wrong with that. But also, she's also had hit and miss performances for like technical wise. That's my take on it. As far as controversy, Paramore also has had tons of controversy, so I guess you can give that.
I wouldn't say tons. It's just that there's not much controversy to grab from either band.
That's true. In recent news, there's the Misery Business thing.
So one controversy.
One controversy. There's been bandmates leaving and all that stuff. So
Paramore has one more controversy than Fall Out Boy.
What was Fall Out Boy's controversy?
Them being sellouts and them going into more commercial stuff.
Oh man, they make more money now. Okay, well, I don't know. So I'll give that one to Fall Out Boy, in my opinion. And then the influence, I think it's Fall Out Boy because they like I said, they had 2 Grand Slam albums that won the World Series. People are going to be thinking about those and talking about those forever. Are you going to take a player? Are you going to think or talk about a player that won the championship twice in an outstanding fashion? We talk about the player that consistently is able to get runs in a game.
Baseball?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about baseball.
Okay. How about this? How about this? Will you go? That's a bad analogy. Don't you? I don't know. I don't know what other analogy to use. But as far as influential, I think Fall Out Boy is going to take this cake because their significance in that scene, that 2005 mall scene. They are the gods of that scene, right up there with like Panic in the Disco.
And that's where I disagree because I think that, Paramore, while their influence wasn't as big from their 2000s, I feel like their influence from then on, though, has been growing over time.
I guess it is tied because they're right up there.
Yeah.
You think of that scene, you think of Fall Out Boy, Panic, Paramore, and like maybe Avril Lavigne.
Because I feel like, Fall Out Boy in the 2000s was bigger than Paramore, but at the same time, it wasn't that much bigger. It was just bigger. Now, I feel like Paramore's gotten a lot bigger than Fall Out Boy in the 2010s.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's a toss up.
So yeah, Q&A time, I guess.
Okay, I guess that's it. Let's see.
Man, this has been a weird episode. This has
been a real weird episode.
I got like mixed feelings from this.
Okay, Q&A. Ready? What is one thing y'all don't like about each band? That is from your little brother, Nico.
When it comes to Paramore, I'll go to Fall Out Boy first. Fall Out Boy, I think is just way too inconsistent.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my main issue with them.
That's my gripe too.
Because they've proven to be like writing really good stuff.
It's just their natural want to experiment. That's where they mess up. And it's not bad to experiment, but I think they should spend a little bit more time thinking about their product when experimenting.
And then when it comes to Paramore, I mean, I do wish at times Paramore would feel more like a band. But at the same time, though, like, it's just different because it's a front woman. People are obviously going to give her more attention because women in the rock are like, what? That's so exotic. But yeah, I mean, it's not really something that the band can do. It's just something that the internet and social media has to handle,
I think the one thing I don't really like about Paramore is, probably that, the whole band thing, as well as, like, I know it was a bad thing for Fall Out Boy, but I would love to have seen at least maybe like an album or two more squeezed out of their discography.
You want to see another album from
Yeah,
Paramore or
I feel
Fall
like
Out Boy?
From Paramore. Just kind of something to bridge that gap between early Paramore and Paramore now, because it's completely different.
Yeah, so you like to see how they transition more, like more.
Yeah, I felt like another in between album to transition would have been a really cool sounding album. So I guess it's not really.
You don't think self-titled held that?
Kind of, but it was. I don't know. I think there could have been something with cooler because self-titled was really a pop album, as well as After Laughter. But I feel like something with like, think about the instrumentals for like Misery Business and like Ignorance and Crush Rush Crush, like that, with like some of the pop stuff,
What a fool. What's the best cow? That's my cousin.
Who's the best cow?
The best cow.
It's Rodney.
Don't start something. Don't start something. I mean, the best cow is probably maybe the last burger I had. Or maybe whichever cow produced the last milkshake I drank. What other? So yeah,
someone asked, "Is all of our episodes emo related?"
No. No,
No, they're not. We had an 80s episode if you didn't check it out.
Our first battle was Arctic Monkeys versus Coldplay, and those two bands are not emo at all.
Sorry if it's been emo a lot, but
Well, we only had 2 episodes though. 21 Pilots
That's
and
true.
Panic at the Disco.
that's true.
Yeah.
So we have an 80s episode out. It's on Spotify
Mm-hmm.
and YouTube. Check it out.
Oh, and then our pop punk episode was an emo episode, I guess.
That's true.
So 3, yeah.
Which group do you think has longer longevity? Paramore.
Yeah, if Paramore continues, like, you know,
Going the way they are.
they'll be fine.
Yeah. After Laughter was a fantastic album.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be fine. Which band name is better?
So I'm gonna give this to Fall Out Boy just because of the story.
What's the story?
So it's really cool. Fall Out Boy. This is before they were Fall Out Boy. They were at a concert, and they were just asking someone in the concert to give them a name, and someone yelled out "Fall Out Boy." I think that's like
So they just went with
yeah,
that?
I think that's super cool. Isn't that really cool?
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and Paramore, the meaning of that name is Paramore with MOUR.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to mean secret lover.
Yeah.
So it's fine. It's a fine meaning, but
It's a cool name.
the story of Fall Out Boy is much cooler.
I forgot to mention, speaking of names, when we're talking about Infinity on High, not Infinity on High, on From Under the Cork Tree,
Oh, their song titles.
their song titles are it's definitely a product of its time because it's during the era when like they were doing super long. Like if you look at their song titles on Spotify on your phone, majority of them don't fit on the screen. So yeah. Who was a more iconic front person, Pete or Haley?
Haley easily.
Williams. Haley Williams. I was defending Fall Out Boy when I'll admit that. Why is Fall Out Boy better? We just went over that for like an hour.
And they're not.
An hour 20. What's your favorite breed of dog? Lab.
Jack.
Jack. Okay.
Jack's my favorite breed of dog. That's the name of my dog.
My glasses are hurting my head. I would recommend getting bigger glasses. Why does no one love me? Cowboy hat. People do love you. Reach out. Reach out. Watch more of our podcasts. It might make you feel better.
There it is. What a great way. That's a way to sell the podcast.
Alrighty.
That's all the questions?
That was it.
All right.
That was it, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Battle of the Bands, the podcast yet again.
Let us know who you think won.
It was Fall Out Boy, very clearly, because of their influence on the music scene.
But overall, as a band, Paramore is much better.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't know who won, watch the podcast again. Watch it all over again, all hour and a half. Make sure to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah.
And be sure to hit follow if you're on Spotify.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for checking us out. Let us know if you like this live stream.
We live stream all of our episodes on
Yeah.
Instagram. It's like really shitty, but it works kind of.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I
Brandon,
think-
hair reveal. What color is your friend's hair? Are we talking about me?
Oh, yeah. You're.
It used to be blonde. It was a lot more interesting. Now it's just black. If you had asked that question maybe like 6 months ago, it would have been platinum. So maybe I'll dye it again on the podcast. Who knows?
My hair will probably be black again.
Your what?
My hair will probably be black again. Yeah,
That's
I think
sad.
I'm dyeing this again tomorrow. I
Well,
dye it
that's
black.
unfortunate. Tune in next time to find out if Brandon dyes his hair or not. Ooh. All right, later, bro. Later.
All right, bye guys. Thank you. We'll see you next time.